Have you ever wondered why some people seem to move through life with a calm confidence, while others feel trapped in an endless storm of stress, anxiety, and uncertainty? Why do some individuals face the toughest challenges with unwavering strength, while others crumble at the smallest obstacle? What if I told you that the secret doesn't lie in luck, wealth, or talent, but in a set of abilities that can completely shape the trajectory of your life? Abilities rooted in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. Today, we're going to uncover the Stoic abilities that determine your entire life, and understanding them might just change the way you think, act, and live every single day. Imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling fully in control of your emotions, unshaken by the chaos around you, able to navigate every challenge with clarity and purpose. Sounds like a dream, right? Yet this is exactly what the Stoic masters promised thousands of years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. These were ordinary humans like you and me, who developed extraordinary mental skills that allowed them to thrive under pressure, remain calm in the face of uncertainty, and make decisions that shaped their destiny. The fascinating part is that these abilities aren't reserved for philosophers or rulers. They are practical, teachable, and entirely within your reach if you know where to begin. Let me take you to the story of Alex, an everyday person whose life looked perfect on the outside but was quietly crumbling on the inside. Alex had a steady job, a social circle that seemed enviable, and a routine that most would call comfortable. Yet beneath that surface, anxiety whispered constantly, self-doubt gnawed at decisions, and small setbacks felt like insurmountable catastrophes. One day, after a particularly draining week, Alex stumbled across a short phrase online: "Control what you can, accept what you cannot." It was simple, yet it struck a chord deep in the mind. A whisper from the Stoics themselves, calling Alex toward a path that promised more than just coping. It promised mastery of life itself. But here's the thing. Learning these Stoic abilities isn't just about reading quotes or nodding at inspirational posts. It's about transforming your mind in a way that every thought, action, and decision begins to align with clarity, resilience, and purpose. And while many people claim to practice Stoicism, very few truly understand the hidden power of these abilities. The ones that can shape your relationships, your career, your health, and your overall happiness. As Alex's journey began, it quickly became clear that these abilities weren't taught in classrooms, nor were they revealed through common self-help advice. They were subtle, almost invisible skills, habits of thought that turned panic into patience, fear into focus, and frustration into freedom. The first time Alex tested these abilities under pressure, the results were surprising. A conflict at work, which once would have triggered weeks of anxiety, was handled with calm precision. A personal setback, which would have felt devastating, became an opportunity to practice patience and self-reflection. With each small victory, Alex felt a shift, a quiet but profound sense of control over life itself. And yet, even as these Stoic abilities began to take root, the real challenges were just around the corner. Because life, as we all know, doesn't wait for readiness. External chaos, unexpected betrayals, and the unpredictable twists of fate would test these skills in ways Alex never imagined. Would the abilities hold? Could the calm cultivated through disciplined practice survive when everything seemed to fall apart at once? Or would years of inner work unravel in the face of real-world pressure? That's what makes the journey so compelling, and it's exactly why this story matters. Because the abilities that the Stoics mastered aren't abstract. They're living tools that determine not just who we are today, but the life we are capable of building tomorrow. And here's the twist. Most people never reach this level of mastery because they underestimate the subtlety, the discipline, and the mindset required. They chase surface-level motivation, while the real power lies in cultivating these deep, invisible strengths that influence every thought and every choice. So, in today's video, we're going to explore these Stoic abilities step by step, uncovering how they work, why they matter, and how anyone can begin to harness them to take full control of their life. You'll hear the stories of people like Alex, discover practical strategies for training your mind, and understand the invisible rules that have guided the most resilient and successful humans for centuries. By the end, You'll see that life isn't about avoiding challenges or pretending everything is fine. It's about developing abilities that allow you to thrive no matter what comes your way. But just as Alex was starting to feel the first real taste of inner freedom, a new crisis emerged. One that would test every single Stoic ability learned so far. And this wasn't a small, manageable problem. It was the kind of life-altering event that forces every person to confront who they truly are. Would Alex crumble under the pressure? Or would the Stoic abilities cultivated quietly over time be enough to not only survive but rise stronger than ever? Stay with me, because the answer isn't simple, and the lessons that follow could determine not just Alex's life, but yours as well. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into each Stoic ability, how it can transform your mindset, and the moments where these skills are truly tested, moments that reveal the difference between an ordinary life and one lived with unstoppable clarity and resilience. The challenge that suddenly appeared in Alex's life wasn't just a minor inconvenience or a routine disappointment. It was the kind of event that shakes the foundation of everything you thought was stable. An unexpected blow that forces you to question your choices, your strengths, and even your purpose. Alex had spent months learning to stay calm under pressure, practicing the Stoic skills of self-control, rational reflection, and emotional detachment. But now, standing at the edge of this new crisis, every lesson learned felt fragile, like a thin layer of ice over a deep, unpredictable river. To understand why this moment was so crucial, we need to look back at how Alex arrived here. Life hadn't always been this disciplined or reflective. There was a time when impulsive reactions ruled the day, where fear dictated decisions and anxiety followed every step. Relationships faltered because impatience and misunderstanding took over. Career opportunities slipped away, not because of lack of talent, but because of uncontrolled emotions and unchecked reactions. That life was a cycle of frustration and regret, and Alex had felt powerless to break free. It was during one particularly low point, after a confrontation that left Alex feeling humiliated and exhausted, that the first real spark of curiosity about Stoicism appeared. The phrase "control what you can, accept what you cannot" seemed almost too simple to be meaningful. Yet, something in it lingered, quietly demanding attention. Alex began to read, to think, to observe, not just the ideas of the Stoics, but their practical application. Slowly, small shifts started happening. Moments that would have caused panic now invited calm reflection. Situations that once triggered frustration began to be seen as opportunities to practice patience and discernment. Each small success reinforced the sense that life could be approached differently, that inner strength wasn't an abstract goal but a tangible skill. Yet, the transformation wasn't instantaneous. Learning these abilities required more than reading or repeating mantras. It demanded persistence, self-awareness, and the courage to confront uncomfortable truths. Alex had to face deeply ingrained habits of negativity, self-doubt, and reactive thinking. Every day brought new tests, moments when old fears resurfaced, when the pull of immediate gratification or emotional reaction threatened to undo the progress made. Some days, it felt like the effort wasn't worth it, like the stress and chaos of life would always win. And yet, Alex continued, driven by a quiet hope that mastery of these Stoic abilities could create a life of clarity, purpose, and resilience. Now, standing on the threshold of this new, life-altering challenge, Alex realized that these abilities would be tested like never before. The question was no longer theoretical. Could these skills withstand the pressure of real, unpredictable life? Could they hold when stakes were high, when emotions ran deep, and when every instinct screamed to react impulsively? For the first time, Alex understood that true Stoic mastery wasn't about avoiding challenges. It was about facing them head-on, without losing composure, without letting fear or anger dictate the next move. And yet, the uncertainty loomed. The problem wasn't solved, and the consequences were unclear. Every decision from this point could lead to either a breakthrough or a setback far greater than anything Alex had encountered before. The tension was unbearable, yet electrifying. It was a test of everything learned, and also a revelation that life's most powerful lessons often come when control feels impossible. The crisis that hit Alex wasn't just external. It stirred a storm inside, challenging everything learned about Stoic abilities, self-control, and rational thinking. On one side, there were the practical consequences, decisions at work, strained relationships, and unexpected obligations that demanded immediate attention. On the other, there was the inner conflict, the mental struggle between instinctive panic and the calm, measured approach Stoicism promised. Every thought felt like a battleground. Should Alex react quickly to fix the problem, or pause to evaluate every possible outcome first? The pressure was suffocating, yet strangely revealing. Meanwhile, subtle subplots unfolded around this central challenge. Friends who once seemed reliable began showing cracks, revealing their own fears and insecurities. Alex noticed how easily people could be influenced by emotions, gossip, or the pressure of circumstance. This contrast sharpened the awareness that Stoic abilities weren't just personal tools, they were shields against the unpredictability of the world and the volatility of others. Even small conversations, minor disagreements, or unexpected setbacks became opportunities to test patience, empathy, and discernment. At the same time, Alex's own habits were under scrutiny. Old tendencies like overthinking, self-blame, or rushing decisions threatened to undo months of progress. The mind would circle endlessly around what-ifs and should-haves, whispering that control was an illusion. Every time that happened, Alex reminded themselves of the Stoic principle that perception shapes reality, and that emotional resilience comes from observing events without being consumed by them. Still, the tension remained, a constant reminder that mastery wasn't about perfection. It was about persistence under pressure. Adding another layer, Alex began noticing the ripple effects of these challenges in unexpected areas. Health, focus, and even sleep were being tested. Stress threatened to seep into every corner of life, highlighting that Stoic abilities weren't just philosophical ideals. They were practical skills for survival in a chaotic, unpredictable world. And yet, every moment of struggle carried a hidden lesson. Each setback, each unexpected turn, forced deeper reflection and demanded creative, thoughtful responses rather than reactive ones. The question hung in the air, heavier than ever. Could Alex truly apply these Stoic abilities when everything seemed out of control? Could calm observation and disciplined thought be enough to navigate the unpredictable twists that life kept throwing? Or would the pressure reveal limits no amount of practice could overcome? The answer was still hidden, leaving a knot of tension that refused to be untied, and setting the stage for the lessons, trials, and revelations that were about to come. The pressure on Alex was now relentless. Every decision seemed heavier than the last, every interaction loaded with potential consequences. The problem that had appeared suddenly wasn't easing. It was multiplying, spreading into areas that had seemed stable just days before. Anxiety whispered at the edges of consciousness, testing the very Stoic abilities Alex had been cultivating. Could calm reasoning really hold against uncertainty that refused to relent? Could emotional resilience survive when the world felt like it was closing in from every direction? Even small moments carried immense weight. A single misstep in conversation could spark conflict. A delayed response at work could spiral into misunderstanding, and every slip of focus felt like it might unravel weeks of careful inner discipline. Alex noticed how much the mind could deceive, how easily it could exaggerate danger or spin worst-case scenarios. Yet, Stoicism taught observation without attachment, awareness without reaction. But practicing it in theory was one thing. Applying it when stakes were sky-high was another entirely. Meanwhile, the people around Alex played roles in heightening the tension. Some offered help, but often their advice was colored by fear, impatience, or self-interest. Others withdrew, leaving Alex to navigate increasingly complex challenges alone. It was a stark reminder that Stoic abilities weren't just tools for self-mastery. They were shields against the unpredictability and volatility of life itself. And then came the moment where everything seemed to converge. Deadlines, conflicts, and personal stakes collided, each amplifying the other. The pressure wasn't just external. It was internal, a storm of doubt, expectation, and urgency that tested every ounce of focus and resilience. Alex stood on the edge of a critical choice, the kind that would define the path ahead. but the outcome was still impossible to predict. The tension was unbearable, the suspense absolute, and the question lingered in the air. Would the Stoic abilities cultivated quietly over months be enough to withstand this ultimate test, or would the storm finally break through? Every second felt heavier than the last. Alex's mind raced, balancing fear, anticipation, and the principles of Stoicism that had been drilled into daily practice. The problem wasn't just looming. It was crashing in from all sides, testing patience, emotional resilience, and self-discipline like never before. Decisions hung in the balance, each carrying consequences that could ripple through every part of life. Friends, work, personal goals, all seemed uncertain. The tension was unbearable, the stakes immense, and the inner storm refused to settle. In that moment, Alex realized the ultimate test had arrived, and everything learned so far would be challenged to its very limits. At the peak of pressure, Alex took a deep breath and let go of every lingering fear, doubt, and expectation. For the first time, the Stoic abilities, self-discipline, emotional resilience, rational thinking weren't just concepts. They were tools being applied in real time. Instead of reacting impulsively, Alex observed each challenge carefully, weighed every choice, and acted with quiet precision. The deadlines were met, conflicts resolved, and personal setbacks turned into opportunities for reflection and growth. It was a moment of clarity, where months of discipline finally paid off, and the storm that had seemed insurmountable began to settle. Just when it seemed the ordeal had ended, an unexpected twist emerged. A new challenge appeared, subtle but potent, revealing that mastery wasn't a destination but a continuous journey. Alex realized that life would always present tests, often when least expected, and that true Stoic abilities weren't about avoiding difficulty. They were about facing it, adapting, and maintaining inner control no matter what. In that instant, Alex understood something deeper. Resilience wasn't a single victory. It was the ability to stand firm over and over again, no matter how unpredictable life became. After the storm had passed, Alex finally felt a quiet sense of stability that hadn't been possible before. The challenges, though still present in life, no longer held the same power. The internal chaos that once dictated every decision had been replaced by a calm awareness, a recognition that the world could remain unpredictable, but the mind could remain steady. Friends who had wavered now seemed clearer in their roles, some closer, some distant. But Alex had learned that the Stoic abilities of patience and discernment were just as important in relationships as they were in personal challenges. Every interaction became an opportunity to practice empathy, observation, and self-control, rather than a trigger for frustration or impulsive reaction. Alex reflected on the lessons learned. The crisis had revealed that life doesn't reward avoidance or wishful thinking. It rewards clarity, resilience, and consistent effort. Emotional resilience wasn't about ignoring stress. It was about facing it head-on without losing composure. Self-discipline wasn't a burden. It was a pathway to freedom, allowing decisions to be made with intention rather than reaction. Rational thinking wasn't a theoretical exercise. It was the key to navigating real-world uncertainty and turning obstacles into opportunities. Even the unexpected twist at the end, the subtle challenge that emerged after apparent victory, became a reminder that Stoic abilities are not a finish line. They are a lifelong practice, a skill set that grows stronger each time it is tested. The sense of control and inner strength Alex felt wasn't a fleeting moment. It was a foundation for continuous growth, one that could be applied to work, relationships, personal goals, and the unpredictable challenges life inevitably brings. By the end of this journey, Alex understood that the true power of Stoicism lies not in avoiding hardship, but in building abilities that allow any person to face life's uncertainty with courage, calm, and clarity. The story concludes, not with perfection, but with mastery of the mind and the realization that every obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen resilience, refine discipline, and live a life shaped by intention rather than circumstance. The lessons are clear. Cultivate Stoic abilities, embrace challenges, and discover the strength within yourself to navigate life with confidence and purpose.